And lo and behold, I get numbers out of the minority community, Hispanic community, that he scored decisively better than Mitt Romney did. That was the turning point, not angry white males. What do you make of that?
You know, Neil, race used to be the last refuge of the scoundrel. Now it's become the first. The reality is 13% of black men voted for Donald Trump. I voted for Donald Trump and campaigned all over this country for him. So this idea that this is
by the way, that is the highest percentage, since Ronald Reagan for a Republican. And even back then, the betting wasn't right with what they thought was the case. But you'd have to go back a long, long time to see any Republican garnering that kind of support.
You know, Neil, have they considered at all when they say these things, or are they just being manipulative, that we don't agree with his policies? It is not about the color of the man's skin. We don't agree with the Iran deal. We don't agree with his transgender bathroom policy. We don't agree with the way he's handled the economy. We don't agree with his policies on life and on abortion. We just don't agree with him. And, you know, it's time for people to grow up and stop whining and crying and going off into their safe spaces and just stand up and say, this is what a constitutional republic is all about. The people speaking, and we have spoken.
You know, I just think if the Trump people were flipped around and they had lost and they raised the same kind of thing in reverse, I mean, they'd be executed. It is what it is. But one of the things I was surprised at is the real lack of enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton as a candidate, and that it would reflect itself not only in lower voter participation by various groups, but even when it came, Bishop, to Hispanics, the assumption being that she'd get them all, when lo and behold, in crucial battleground states, she was really hurting, and that they weren't monolithic in Florida. In fact, there were enough Cuban Americans and older Puerto Rican Americans to tip the balance in Donald Trump's favor. This played out in Pennsylvania. It played out in Ohio, and yet it's as if the media doesn't even see what happened and saying that it was white man rage. What do you think of that?
You know, here's the problem with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has no conviction. And in order to cause people to be passionate and committed and determined, you've got to show conviction. What Hillary Clinton shows is expediency. Donald Trump, whether you agree with him or not, clearly has conviction. He clearly has some things that he believes in, and those of us who share his beliefs rally to him and rally to him enthusiastically. I'm one of those people, but believe me, Neil, we did a 5-state tour through all the battleground states, from Ohio to Pennsylvania to Virginia to North Carolina to Florida, and we found enthusiasm that was just through the roof.
You know, one of the earlier today, I was talking to an African-American leader, yesterday, I'm sorry, who was saying something to the effect that one of Trump's pitches that was extremely effective on the stump, especially when reaching out to potential minority voters, is, what the hell have you got to lose? And I know you're a religious man, and so excuse me for that, but that was his pitch, and I thought it was very effective, and so did this leader who was saying much the same, that it was a jarring comment to make a simple statement. For all the trillions of attention that you've enjoyed or gotten, what have you gotten for it?
Neil, this is one of the things I love about Donald Trump. He is the first Republican, even though I've been urging my colleagues for years to do it, to actually proactively go after the black vote and to say, look, I have a plan, I have a program. I don't think you ought to live in poverty. You ought not live in squalor. You ought not live in violent communities where your children can't go to school safely. Thank God somebody's at least speaking to these issues. And Neil, I predict this. This is not an anomaly. I think this is the beginning of a move in the black community away from its devotion to the Democrat Party toward more open-mindedness toward Republicans and their policies. And Donald Trump has started it.
All right. We should point out that no one has done what he just did in the Republican Party in more than 3 decades. Bishop, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil.
All right, just a sign of the times, or a preview of coming attractions. A former Navy SEAL who is now on his way to the governor's mansion in Missouri. After this.
We asked people to write down the things they love to do most on these balloons.
Travel with my daughter.
Roller derby?
Now, give up half of them.
Do I have to?